everyone, and welcome. You are watching Eagle News America. I'm Alan Basoyahe coming to you from Los Angeles. It's Sunday, the 30th day of May, 2021. Tonight, we have updates from our correspondents across North America. Thomas Likeness in Edmonton, Alberta.
Pressure on both sides to reopen the Canada-U.S. border.
Lori Jarvina in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Las Vegas coming back strong this Memorial Day weekend.
Kay Regalado in Woodland Hills.
Inmates save 2 fellow inmates with Narcan doses.
Trish Nicole Paras in Panorama City.
LA County offers chance to win tickets to Kings or Galaxy home season to individuals getting their first vaccine dose.
For arts and culture, Arlene Rivera in Houston, Texas.
Tejano upcoming artist shares music inspiration.
Rose Papa Angeles tells us about DC Metropolitan Police reaching out to the community to help residents deal with accidents, scams, and hate crimes. Bill Toledo in Atlanta reports about Georgia lifting its mask mandate in schools. For business news, Jane Kathleen Gregorio reports about South Texas Shoppers World highlighting local businesses. Plus, tonight's roundtable is about the paperclip and why to many it is not just a piece of wire. Our coverage begins now. The UN humanitarian coordinator for the occupied Palestinian territory, Lynn Hastings, announces an emergency plan to support Palestinians affected by recent conflict and violence in Gaza and the West Bank, including East Jerusalem. Hastings calls on all member states to contribute generously towards the $95 million plan to address these needs and allow for a swift and full implementation over the next 3 months.
The appeal that I launched today in Jerusalem requests $95 million to address these needs over 3 months. 1 million people will be targeted to receive assistance. Humanitarian assistance is already being delivered, and I have released an immediate $18 million from the Palestinian Humanitarian Fund and the Emergency Relief Coordinator has released $4.5 million from the Central Emergency Fund in New York. The appeal that I launched today in Jerusalem
And First Lady Dr. Jill Biden visit service members at Joint Base Langley Eustis in Hampton, Virginia, ahead of Memorial Day weekend. In his remark, President Biden says service members are the backbone of the country as he thanks troops for their commitment and love for the nation.
We can never repay that debt. But I promise you this, to all the Gold Star families across the country, we will never, ever, ever, ever forget. Each year, Memorial Day offers us a chance to reflect on the enormity, the sacrifices that generation after generation of Americans has made. It's my greatest honor. It should not surprise anybody. It should be anybody's greatest honor in all of life to be able to serve as your commander-in-chief. No greater honor. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for spending this time with me today.
The president remembers his son who served in Iraq.
Our son did not die in Iraq, but he came back when as an incredibly healthy young man and came back with a severe brain tumor because his hooch was just downwind from those burn pits. I don't know if that's the reason, but he came home. It was just a matter of how long he lived.
First Lady Dr. Jill Biden says it is crucial to always look after the overall health of service members.
How can we hope to keep our military strong if our service members are forced to choose between their love of country and their love of family? That's why supporting your physical, social, and emotional health is a national security imperative. And as we begin Memorial Day weekend with a community who feels its gravity deeply, our hearts are with all the survivors remembering and celebrating someone they love.
On a visit to Cleveland, Ohio, President Joe Biden calls for America to work against competition from China.
We must be number one in the world to lead the world in the 21st century. It's a simple proposition. And the starting gun has already gone off. We can't afford to fall any further behind. Now's the time to build the foundation that we've laid. It's not just we want to deal with the environment. We want to lead the world in exports of these new technologies instead of ceding the global market and job creation to the Chinese. They're building 20 times as many electric vehicles as we're doing now. And the technology that goes with that. What are we doing? It's millions of jobs in China instead of here.
The country's Senate Republicans blocked the creation of an independent commission to investigate the deadly riot by former President Donald Trump supporters at the Capitol in Washington, a move aimed at preventing a bipartisan probe ahead of 2022 midterm elections. 10 Republicans would have needed to join all 50 Democrats to advance the measure, but only 6 Republicans voted in favor, a result that demonstrated the deep divide in Congress and the nation nearly 5 months after the violent January 6 assault. By blocking creation of an independent bipartisan January 6 commission, congressional Republicans have signaled they would rather approach next year's midterm elections unencumbered by potentially damning findings about the deadly U.S. Capitol riot. Earlier, the measure passed the House of Representatives with support from 35 Republicans, but efforts to broker a compromise failed in the evenly divided Senate. Here's today's COVID-19 numbers. According to the Coronavirus Resource Center of Johns Hopkins University and Medicine, as of 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Sunday, May 30, 2021, the number of cases of COVID-19 reported worldwide is now more than 170,064,000. Top 3 on the list of countries with recorded cases are the U.S. at over 33.2 million, India at over 27.8 million, and Brazil at over 16.4 million. The virus has now already claimed more than 3,535,000 lives worldwide. Top 3 countries with the most number of COVID-19 related deaths are the US with more than 594,000, Brazil with more than 461,000, and India with more than 325,000. Total vaccine doses administered worldwide is now at 1,863,354,963. And now for COVID news. The World Health Organization Europe Regional Director Hans Kluh says speed in a pandemic is of essence, stressing that Europe should accelerate the vaccination rollout.
Our best friend is speed. The time is working against us. The vaccination rollout still goes too slow. We need to accelerate. We need to enlarge the number of vaccines. That's, for example, while we are continuing to work with the Russian Federation to get the Sputnik V. Already one of the Chinese vaccines got into the WHO approved list, and we need more and more vaccines, and then solidarity. We still have a challenge looking at the pan-European region, 53 member states. Only 26% of the population received the first dose. And that is key, the pan-European solidarity. Number one thing which should have been done better was the speed of acting. Even when WHO declared a pandemic, many countries were still waiting. We lost valuable time. Speed in a pandemic is of essence. Number 2 is that the people drop their guard, that they become complacent and think that because they got the first shot or even the second shot of vaccine, that the pandemic.
Kluh warns that the COVID-19 pandemic won't end until at least 70% of people are vaccinated and criticized Europe's vaccine rollout as too slow. He says countries and their populations must not become complacent about the pandemic. In the 53 countries and territories that make up the WHO's European region, including several in Central Asia, 26% of the population has received a first dose of a COVID-19 vaccine. According to a count by AFP, in the European Union, 36.6% of the population has received at least one dose, and 16.9% have been fully vaccinated. Clue says one of his main concerns was the increased contagiousness of new variants. Cases of the so-called Indian variant have been recorded in 27 of the region's 53 countries, while the number of new cases and deaths has fallen for 5 consecutive weeks, reaching their lowest levels since mid-October. Meanwhile, in Canada, Bureau Chief Thomas Likeness tells us how heavy the pressure is on both sides to reopen the Canadian and U.S. border. Thomas.
Thanks, Alan. You know, there's a lot to talk these days on both sides of the 49th parallel. That's the border between the United States and Canada. And did you know it's the longest undefended border in the world? It's almost 8,900 kilometers long. That's, let me see here, 5,500 miles, and has been closed to non-essential travelers for almost 15 months now. But there's pressure on both countries to reopen it. A lot of pressure from American politicians, a lot of the same pressure here from Canadian politicians, both on the government side and opposition side. The beginning of July is a target that many are aiming for. Now, there's 2 big holidays occurring then. Canada Day up here on July the 1st, and of course Independence Day in the U.S. on July the 4th. Canadian politicians, particularly those from communities near the border, well, they're just calling on the government. Come on, guys, let's get moving on easing the restrictions. Businesses, especially those in the travel and hospitality sectors, well, they want action sooner than later, and it has to be soon if there's to be any hope of a summer tourism season in Canada. You know, up here, you just can't make it on domestic holidayers alone. There's just not enough of them. But not everybody's convinced it's a good idea. You ask Larry Lunchbucket out on the street, the public opinion polls, they're showing Canadians almost evenly split on the idea of border controls. Slightly more than half favor reopening the border by the beginning of summer, so that would be late June, beginning of July. But the rest, they want to wait until at least the fall, and some are saying, well, hey, maybe we should wait till the new year, January of 2022. You know, we're still seeing hotspots for COVID up here, and people have no appetite for a 4th wave because we ease up too soon. British Columbia's Premier John Horgan says, well, he hopes the border remains closed until late summer, early fall. That view, of course, not very popular with resort operators in his province. Ontario Premier Doug Ford, he's not any more popular with tourism people. He's saying definitely not. The borders are still too loose right now. He is opposing any reopening. Then there's Canada's top doctor, Chief Public Health Officer, Dr. Theresa Tam. Now, you might recall at the beginning of the pandemic, more than a year ago, she argued against border controls. Then a few months in, she changed her mind. And these days, Tam is saying, well, the border could reopen once 75% of the people over the age of 12 have received at least one dose, and at least 20% have received 2 doses. And she's hinting that, you know, it may be fall before those numbers are reached, although she says some exceptions could be made for fully vaccinated people. But, you know, regardless of when the border allows traffic to flow freely, it's almost certain proof of vaccination will be required, and the majority of Canadians, more than 3/4, favor such a measure here. And I believe not quite as high a number in the States, but again, a majority in the States don't have a problem with proof of vaccination for crossing the border. You know, I, for one, look forward to being able to travel south to the U.S., but quite frankly, I'm in no hurry to pack my bags. I want to be sure it's safe before I book my trip. You see, I'd rather wait a little while now to vacation in the States than leave right away and come back and have kind of an even longer vacation recovering from COVID. In Edmonton, Canada, Thomas I. Likeness, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
Thomas, part of the reason why the border is so undefended is because on the non-metric side, we haven't figured out yet really how long 8,900 kilometers are. So thanks for the conversion. We appreciate that. But speaking of, there's some good news.
Just be careful when you drive up here, though. When you see 110 on the highway, that's only 66 miles an hour.
Exactly. We have to catch up with the rest of the world. But speaking of good news on the vaccine front, there's a cross-border vaccination clinic. It's going to be returning. Can you talk about that?
Sure. I talked about this last week. I told you that the Blackfeet tribe in the state of Montana, and Montana is just south of my province, Alberta, it had been offering its surplus vaccines to Alberta residents at a free clinic at the border. But the bureaucrats in both countries, they shut it down. Why? They decided crossing the border to get a vaccine is not allowed under the current travel rules, which forbid non-essential travel. I guess protecting public health is not essential. Well, public outrage followed. People were livid, and their anger prompted a reversal of that decision. So the clinic will return for a couple of days again next week. And again, this whole episode, Alan, it just goes to prove that common sense ain't too common.
Thomas, we also understand that there are some other items that also aren't traveling. And we're talking about the AstraZeneca vaccine in Canada that's, we understand, has been sitting in storage for several weeks. What's happening there?
Okay, this vaccine has been plagued with a litany of problems since it was first rolled out. I know you're not using it down there, but up here we are. In the beginning, there were questions about how effective it might be in seniors. So people over 65, they weren't given AstraZeneca shots. Then several provinces stopped using it because of a problem with rare blood clots. And it was decided the risk was pretty low, so they started resuming it again. But then there were concerns about younger people being more prone to developing these clots. So we ended up with a very narrow demographic from about ages 50 to 64 receiving the shots and a whole lot of surplus vaccine on the shelves. A lot of people were declining AstraZeneca vaccines, saying, no. I'll wait for my mRNA shot, something like a Pfizer or a Moderna, but I don't want the AstraZeneca. Now, AstraZeneca has a shelf life of 6 months, and that's coming up tomorrow, that 6-month deadline. Health Canada now says, well, we could store it safely for 7 months. So that means health departments have an extra 4 weeks to use up that supply. Alan?
What's being done to overcome vaccine hesitancy in Canada?
Well, Alan, some provinces, including my own, are taking a page out of your playbook down there and thinking about offering incentives. We've got about 60% of the population with at least one shot in the arm. Fully vaccinated people are somewhat rare because we have that 4-month wait between doses because of problems with the rollout in the beginning. Then we have that 10% of the population who aren't sure whether they are going to get a vaccine. Well, maybe I might wait a while. I don't know whether it's safe, that sort of thing. And as well, some people may not come back for a second shot. Consideration is being given to offering incentives, whether it be cash or merchandise vouchers, just something to kind of push them over the line. Is at the spitballing stage right now. I was talking to somebody today about second shots. And this individual was pretty hesitant because of the reaction he had from his first shot. So again, for somebody like him, maybe an incentive might be enough to push him to get that second shot. Alan?
That was Thomas Likeness in Edmonton. Thank you, Thomas, for that report.
You take care, Alan.
Up next, updates from Washington and Nevada. Eagle News America continues.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
there, Arnie Aquino here at Hatley Castle, one of the filming locations for the X-Men series. Don't forget to tune in to Digital Nest only on Net25.
You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Alan Basoyahe in Los Angeles. In the nation's capital, police and other government agencies reach out to communities to educate residents on what to do if caught in the middle of a dangerous situation. In a workshop hosted by the Church of Christ in Washington, D.C., representatives of the Metropolitan Police and the Mayor's Office discuss resident safety and hate and bias crimes. To tell us more about this initiative, Eagle News correspondent Rose Papaangelis files this report.
As hate crimes rise against Asian Americans in recent months, so does movements that counter them. Here in the nation's capital, in an effort to educate the public on keeping safe from accidents, scams, cyberbullying, and hate or bias crimes, DC's Metropolitan Police reach out to communities and hold information campaigns. Officer Michael Kim of the Asian Liaison Unit shared with Eagle News why initiatives like this play a crucial role in the community, especially for people of color.
I would like to show them our information, what we do, from old policing to new policing to interacting with the citizen, and make sure when we have a friendly interaction, and people retrieve more information, and then that's what my goal is. Asian community, not just Filipino, not just Chinese, Korean, Vietnamese. We are here for everybody. So I want you to come call us, or if you have any question, we're available, like again, 7 days. So more welcome to call anytime.
Ben de Guzman, Executive Director of the Office on Asian and Pacific Islander Affairs of D.C., says there are agencies in the district that serve Asian American residents for resources to help them with issues affecting the community.
We really have kind of a twofold mission. On one hand, we represent the mayor to the Asian and Pacific Islander community, so providing awareness and education about city initiatives, programs, that sort of thing. At the same time, we advocate on behalf of our Asian American and Pacific Islander residents to city government, so helping make sure that they're able to access all the resources of our city, regardless of, regardless of race, regardless of immigration status, regardless of citizenship. If they're here in the district, we're here to serve.
Asian American Alexis Nachman says information shared here today add to tools needed by any individual if or when facing danger in their homes or out on the streets.
So it hasn't happened personally to me, thank God. But I do know people, and it's so surprising. You would never think these things would happen to people that you know. So when I heard it happened to one of my aunts down in Virginia Beach, she told me that she was basically being verbally abused. Some random stranger on the street while she was walking in her neighborhood just to get her exercise just started yelling at her out of nowhere. And my aunt, she just didn't know how to react. And I think it's also a lack of education of what hate crimes are. So when that happened to her, she didn't really know what to do. And it was the first time that's ever happened to her. So it's this stuff that the information that they relayed to us today is very useful for everybody to know. It just helps me feel a little bit safer knowing that we have the MPD, Metropolitan Police Department. They have our back in case we ever need anything. So when they talked about hate crimes and biases and discrimination, they clarified a bit more about what exactly discrimination is. They talked about with religion, race, age, and it just kind of helped me gain more clarity on what exactly a hate crime is.
Knowing what to say and do in threatening situations is one way to protect and defend ourselves from potential harm. In Washington, D.C., Rose Papaangelis, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Helpful advice. Thank you, Rose. In Nevada, Eagle News correspondent Lori Jarvina tells us tonight how Las Vegas is commemorating Memorial Day. Lori.
Thank you, Alan, and greetings to all our viewers in America and abroad. And happy Memorial Day weekend here in the United States. With the ever-increasing optimism of vaccines, it is clear that Las Vegas is finally rebounding from the height of the pandemic last year, faster than expected by some experts. The famous Las Vegas Strip is again buzzing with activity as crowds return to enjoy endless options for dining and entertainment. According to the Las Vegas Conventions and Visitors Authority statistics, visitation continued to ramp up in April as the entertainment capital of the world welcomed more than 2.5 million visitors, up more than 15% last month. Last year, April, there were only around 100,000 visitors. There is still a way to go since numbers are down roughly 27% versus pre-COVID levels in April 2019, where there were more than 3.5 million visitors. Hotel occupancy increased to 65.6%, up 10.1 points from March, with weekend occupancy improving to 83.5%, up 5.8 points. The increase of entertainment options continues to attract more visitors back to Las Vegas, along with new hotels making their debuts. Resorts World Las Vegas, which will open at the end of June, will feature headliner shows with top performers such as Katy Perry, Celine Dion, Carrie Underwood, and Luke Bryan. This particular hotel is also the first one to be built from ground up since the Cosmopolitan in 2010. Sports fans will also be enjoying the new Allegiant Stadium as they open their doors to the public. The Raiders played their inaugural season at Allegiant Stadium without fans in attendance, but are scheduled to reopen their fan-filled 2021 home season with a Monday Night Football matchup September 13th against the Baltimore Ravens. Heavyweight boxers Tyson Fury and Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder are scheduled to fight July 24th at Allegiant Stadium, with the winner taking home the WBC, World Boxing Council, and the ring titles. Capacity at the stadium is 65,000. Speaking of large venues, the Las Vegas Convention Center welcomed 6.6 million visitors in 2019, but the pandemic brought those numbers to nearly zero since March 2020. The first convention to return was the Tobacco Plus Expo this month of May, which brought about 5,500 people to Las Vegas Convention Center. Conventions and trade shows will play a big part of the Las Vegas comeback. They are responsible for more than $11 billion in annual economic impact to Southern Nevada, according to Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. The next noteworthy trade show on the calendar is next month's World of Concrete. Lots of great activities to look forward to, and this Memorial Day weekend is certainly an opportunity for visitors and locals alike to enjoy everything the city has to offer. In Las Vegas, Nevada, Lori Jarvina, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
So, Lori, how does the population look now as far as mask wearing?
You know, since the mask wearing restrictions have really decreased, you will see that maybe 1 out of 10, just from today driving around are wearing masks. So majority are absolutely not wearing masks. And I think, that's just kind of boosting the confidence of everyone that we are pretty much getting everyone vaccinated. So I think that's good news. And with vaccinations, I'd also like to mention that here in Nevada, 12-year-olds can now get their vaccines. And my middle child, he just turned 12. So he is already scheduled for his first Pfizer dose on June 1st. So all good news and all optimism. Alan?
So speaking of Memorial Day, we might actually be seeing a few people wearing, red, white, and blue masks. But how about for you, Lori? What does Memorial Day mean?
Well, for, majority of people, it's like the mark of summer starting, barbecues and the kids are out of school. So officially summertime to relax and enjoy. For myself, it is a time to reflect as well on those who definitely gave their lives serving our country. I personally am a retired veteran, so I do think seriously and ponder on those thoughts that, our fallen heroes should be remembered. So there's a lot of memories and a lot of good things to look forward to celebrate Memorial Day. Alan?
Well, Lori, we certainly salute you and all veterans. And well, aside from Memorial Day, there is another occasion that we're going to be talking about today. It's less known than Memorial Day. It's called National Paperclip Day. And so I was racking my brains, Lori, trying to figure out what would I add to the discussion. And all I could think of are paper clips from when I was a child, what I used to do with them, play with them when I was a child. So without telling us what you're going to bring to the roundtable, For Paperclip Day, is it going to be something about from when you were a kid or something practical now as an adult?
It's going to be something as an adult, but maybe not practical. And that's all I'll give away for now, Alan.
All right, we got to keep that youthful spirit at all stages of life. Thank you, Lori, for that report. Still to come, stories from California and Georgia, plus business news. Eagle News America will return in a moment. Stay with us.
Start up your weekday mornings with edutainment, news, and information kasama ang inyong paboritong Net25 shows. Samahan ang inyong paboritong morning barkada sa Pambansang Almusal at 5 a.m. Tatalakayin mga pangunahing balita sa pagtutulungan ng Radyo Agila at Net25. Samahan si Weng de la Fuente sa Balitalakayan, 7 a.m. Saganang Mamamayan at 8 a.m. NHK World at 9 a.m. Eagle News International at 10 a.m. At mga balitang dapat niyong malaman mula sa Agila, Pilipinas at 11 a.m. This is your morning startup every weekday mornings only here on Net25.
This is Eagle News America. I'm Alan Basoyahe in Los Angeles. Driven to vaccinate a majority of Angelenos against COVID, Los Angeles County offers residents getting their first dose a chance to win home season tickets to LA Kings or LA Galaxy games. Eagle News correspondent Trish Nicole Paras with the details.
Thank you, Alan. Offering incentives for getting vaccinated has been one of the latest tactics cities, counties, and states have employed recently. Los Angeles County, which is known for its sports and entertainment, has unsurprisingly jumped on the COVID-19 vaccination bandwagon. In a press release, Los Angeles County Public Health announced that at all vaccination sites, either city or county run, including the St. John's Well Child and Family Center sites, individuals getting their first vaccine will be eligible to win a pair of tickets to the 2021 to 2022 home season of the LA Kings or LA Galaxy. But what about adults who have already received their first dose? Those residents can still be included in the drawing if, upon getting their second dose, they bring someone with them to receive their first shot. For LA sports fans, the window of opportunity is currently open, but will slam shut on June 3rd, and only 2 Angelenos will win tickets. If sports aren't your cup of tea, then how about a Broadway show at the famous Pantages Theater in Hollywood? We're talking about Hamilton, folks. Beginning the week of June 14, a pair of tickets will be awarded to a fortunate participant. No purchase necessary and only 1 entry per person. To join the drawing, people will need to visit the COVID vaccination event at the Pantages Theater on June 12. Look for free parking in the Hollywood and Vine lot. Those who have already been vaccinated can still get in on the action by simply showing their vaccination card at the theater to be entered in the drawing. Walk-ins are welcome, and everyone is reminded to present proof of identification. Now, from free tickets to something a bit more substantial, money. The state of California has launched the Vax for the Win program, wherein cash prizes will be awarded in the month of June. The first round of prizes, however, have already started to be distributed in the form of $50 gift cards, given to the first 2 million Californians who start and complete their COVID vaccination beginning May 27. If $50 sounds good to you, then we believe that $50,000 has an even better ring to it. On June 4 and June 11, 15 Californians will take home $50K. So in total, that's 30 people winning $50,000. But this amount is only the warm-up for the even bigger prize of $1.5 million. On June 15, 10 California residents will become instant millionaires, assuming, of course, that they're not a millionaire to begin with. So that's a total of $15 million that the state will be giving away. And the best part of both the $50,000 and the $1.5 million cash out is that people aged 12 years old or older and have at least gotten their first shot are automatically entered to win prize money. There's nothing to fill out or proof that has to be given. Qualified residents have to do absolutely nothing other than dream big about what to do should they win. As for me, a fully vaccinated Californian who loves musicals, I imagine that $1.5 million can fetch me quite a lot of Hamilton tickets. In Panorama City, California, Trish Nicole Paras, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
So, Nicole, we have a subtle suspicion that perhaps, just perhaps, you might be a Hamilton fan. I'm going to put you on the spot right now and ask, have you watched Hamilton, both live performance and the one that's on Disney Plus?
I actually have watched both of them. The live performance I watched with my mom, I think November 2017, and the Disney Plus one, the day it released on Disney Plus.
Okay, so you've settled our suspicions. You're a Hamilton fan. So between the two, the Disney Plus or the live performance, which do you prefer?
I think I would prefer going to the live one just because the experience was so fun. And although, like, you can watch in the comfort of your home with the Disney Plus, like, nothing beats experiencing it right in front of you.
Well, speaking of, since restrictions are going to start easing up, people will be able to go back indoors, like the indoor theaters, to watch things like Hamilton. So on that note, Los Angeles County, they've updated their guidelines when it comes to face masks indoors. Can you elaborate?
Right. So if indoors, face coverings must be worn when you're in a public setting or in a place of business, which is especially pertinent to those working at the front desk, but that also includes customers. Residents are expected to determine if gatherings made up of more than one household are being attended by non-vaccinated people, and if so, face masks should be worn, particularly if individuals are known to be of high risk. And when traveling, face coverings in airports, planes, trains, and buses are also required. Alan?
Thanks for that report, Trish. We'll talk to you a little bit later about National Paperclip Day. Now, 2 inmate lives have been saved by fellow inmates with doses of Narcan. To tell us more about the incident, Eagle News correspondent Kay Regalado is with us tonight.
Thank you, Alan. 2 incarcerated persons in a Los Angeles County jail are saved by other inmates who helped them by giving each a dose of Naxalone, or Narcan, under the recent implementation of the sheriff's Naxalone Custody Pilot Project at this particular correctional facility. According to the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, the incident took place just several days ago on Wednesday, May 26th at about 5:37 p.m. at the North County Correctional Facility, or NCCF, in Castaic, California. Deputies and medical staff that were on duty at this time took action to an emergency notification made by 2 inmates in medical distress and proceeded to the prison dorms. Upon arrival, the deputies and medical staff found the 2 unconscious inmates at the upper level with signs of suspected overdoses. Each had been administered a dose of Narcan by fellow inmates. After several minutes, another inmate also reported symptoms of dizziness. The staff then treated the 3 inmates and brought them to a local hospital for continued medical care and observation. The inmates were able to return back to the correctional facility after being cleared of any medical issue hours later. What could have ended as a tragically fatal situation resulted in the saving of 2 lives due to the quick actions of fellow inmates in administering the Narcan doses. All incarcerated individuals at NCCF viewed this instructional video and learned about the administration process during their inmate orientation program. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department newly made into effect this Naxalone, or Narcan, Custody Pilot Project, allowing and teaching inmates how to access and administer Narcan as a greatly effective solution in treating and reversing opioid overdose when given immediately, with the ultimate goal of saving lives. Opioid overdoses are increasing throughout Los Angeles County, and the Sheriff's Department is taking initial steps with this pilot program to gauge its effectiveness, while making sure that inmates are also kept safe in these possible situations. At present, 2 Narcan doses are placed in each of the NCCF dorms. If this pilot program continues to prove beneficial and successful in saving lives, the LA Sheriff's Department will implement this to all the custody facilities throughout the county. In Woodland Hills, California, Kay Regalado, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
Kay, if you would, please elaborate a little bit more about the relationship between opioids and Naxalone.
Alan, opioids are strong medicines to alleviate pain, like hydrocodone and morphine. Heroin is also an opioid, although an illegal one. Taking too much of an opioid or overdosing on this drug can result in losing one's life. On the other hand, Naxalone is a medicine known to counter the effects of opioids, and thus it is utilized to treat a drug overdose due to taking too many opioids. Naxalone, or Narcan kits, are becoming popular and can be obtained with a physician prescription, but there are some locations where you can purchase one without needing a prescription. Naxalone should be used immediately after a suspected opioid overdose to be very effective in reducing the effects. Alan?
And what kind of uphill battle is the county facing when it comes to the opioid overdose situation?
Alan, statistics show that California has the fourth highest number in the United States with regards to deaths due to drug overdoses, which translates to about 12.3 deaths per 100,000 people. In Los Angeles County, the third largest cause of injury or death is drug overdose. In a study of a span of 7 years to 2011 to 2017 in the county alone, there were about 464 overdosing on this particular drug. And they're not intentionally killing themselves. They're trying to get that high state and not have to feel or have to deal with the physical or emotional pain they're experiencing. This is definitely a challenging uphill battle that will take the collaborative efforts of the public health system along with other public and private organizations. Alan?
Kay, National Paperclip Day. You know, on Eagle News, we always have very colorful roundtable discussions, but National Paperclip Day, I got to ask you, when it's compared to the other topics that we have for Roundtable, how does this compare? Is it more unexpected that we're going to be talking about paper clips, or is it just something you've already come to expect when it comes to our broadcast here at Eagle News?
Well, I mean, paper clips are a small item and therefore, kind of a small issue. But, I think I wouldn't say it was something I didn't expect. We talk about everything in Roundtable, including paper clips.
Well, I can't wait to hear more from you. Thank you, Kay, for your report. Students and teachers in Georgia now have an option not to wear face coverings in schools. To tell us more about this mandate that has just been lifted, Bureau Chief Philip Toledo files this report.
Thanks. On Friday, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp signed several executive orders. They may have seemed a little routine, with one set to lower flags to half-staff in observance of Memorial Day, and another to renew the public health state of emergency in response to COVID-19 that has been going on since last year. However, included in another guidance for empowering a healthy Georgia, the governor orders that the public health state of emergency does not give local school districts the right to require students or workers to wear a face covering. This follows suit of other GOP-run states that have made similar measures. Proponents of such a measure, such as Governor Kemp, say this is essential to help the state get back to normal as cases of COVID-19, at least in Georgia, continue to decline. Now, on the other hand, critics cite that low cases doesn't necessarily mean no cases, and that this measure puts teachers at risk. The same day he signed the order, the governor's Facebook posted pictures of him speaking at a graduation with several students, notably without masks. By the numbers, cases do continue a downward trend here in the state, with total cases sitting right at under 900,000. Vaccine distribution is creeping along, with almost 40% of the population having received at least one dose, and the fully vaccinated population moving from about 31 to 32% since last week. In Atlanta, Georgia, Philip Toledo, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you.
Thanks, Philip. We look forward to hearing more about this progressing story. Up-and-coming Tejano artist Jay Lomas shares with Eagle News the inspiration for his music. Eagle News correspondent Arlene Rivera tells us more.
Thank you, Alan, and howdy from the Lone Star State. On Saturday, the third annual All-Stars Music Awards honoring leaders and artists in the Tejano music industry took place in San Antonio, Texas. This weekend, Eagle News caught up with one of the upcoming artist nominees, Jay Lomas from Washington State, and his best friend, award-winning internet radio personality, C. Dalia Mendoza of SarsRadio.com during their visit to Corpus Christi, paying tribute to or homage to Tejano music legend Selena, who served as their inspiration. Juan Antonio J. Lomas came to the U.S. from Chihuahua, Mexico at 6 years old with his family of migrant workers as a child. He dreamed of becoming a music artist and balanced school and work while pursuing his musical dreams. This year, he was nominated as Upcoming Artist with his new singles, Ayer Peri and Mentirosa. Both Jay Lomas and best friend supporter C. Dalia Mendoza each shared their experience. Let's take a look.
Hello, my name is Juan Antonio Lomas, and my artist name is Jay Lomas, and I am here visiting Texas and for a nomination that I got at the All-Star Music Awards. I am promoting 2 of my singles, and I will be performing live. The name of the song that I'm promoting is Ayer Pedí, and that song was the one that was heard on the radio station. So from that, it got back to the awards, and they asked, well, who is this guy that's singing this song? And that's how it got me to the nominated to the All-Star Music Awards. I started like when I was 13 years old singing professionally. When I started going out there when I was like 17 to 20 years old, and so it took quite a bit. I've been really practicing, and there's a lot of struggles that were in between there. So, but as far as right now, I'm really happy with all the progress that's been and all the work that I've done. So it's been a while for me to get where I'm at the moment. There's been a lot of practice and a lot of training. So this is my first time coming here to Corpus Christi, and it was just been amazing. We got to do the Selena tour. We went to the museum, the statue, the place where she was laid to rest, the burial place. Selena, in general, I think she influenced me, I mean, a lot, because to me, she had like everything to become a star, a superstar. She was humble. She was great with her fans. She had a beautiful heart. She helped a lot of people. She was an amazing vocalist, an amazing entertainer. Her smile was amazing. It just, everything about her from top to bottom was beautiful, inside and outside.
What's your advice for young people like yourself who want to make it someday in the music industry but are struggling? What can you tell them?
The only thing I can tell you is by my experience is to just be very patient. Be very patient and love what you do. Do it with your heart, you know, and just keep going forward. Always think positive, just straight positive, and have fun with it. Have fun with it, you know. Like I said, I do it because I love it. I'm having fun with it, and just positive vibes. Just continue, and that's the way. I've always said there's 3 things that I always keep in mind: is stay humble, work hard, and just continue. I just released about a couple weeks ago the second single, which is Mentirosa, and so you can find all that information on my social media pages. My Facebook page, my personal one is Juan Antonio space Lomas, and I also have a fan page that's J space Lomas, or on YouTube you can find all my music videos, my upcoming singles.
So my name is Dalia Mendoza, and I am DJ Sas with Tejano Lips, and I also have another internet radio station called Sas Radio, and I was nominated for Best Internet Personality of the Year, and I actually won 2020. Okay, the All-Star Music Awards is awards conducted by Jesse Torres. He is the CEO, also president of the award show, and he actually has 2 different award shows, which is the All-Star Music Awards and also the Conjunto Puro Conjunto Music Awards. So on the All-Star Music Awards, a lot of people are being nominated. Not only the artists, not only the singers, but also the people in radio, which are the DJs, also the promoters that promote the music. And so we have all those people that are being, and not only in the state of Texas, but we have people that are nominated that are also out of state. We got people from Chicago, we got people from Los Angeles, people from Idaho, people from Arizona. So there's a lot of people that are nominated that are not just here in Texas. Coming to Texas is a must to come to Corpus Christi. I always pass through here when I'm going to my mom's house because she lives in the valley in Weslaco. And so it's a must. I always come and see Selena. I go to the museum every single time. There's always something new to her. And it was amazing how artists come up and everything. So yeah, and Selena is a big influence in the Tejano industry. So we always come and visit her.
In Corpus Christi, Texas, I'm Arlene Rivera, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
Thanks, Arlene, for that report. Up next, a roundtable about that piece of wire that's not just a piece of wire.
We know that this is a scary time for all of us.
The coronavirus is changing the world.
Changing our lives.
So please, take care of yourself.
Keep your distance.
Wash your hands.
And if you can, stay at home.
We at DW
are here for you.
We are working tirelessly to keep you informed on all of our platforms.
We're all in this together.
And together,
we'll make it through.
Stay safe, everybody.
Stay safe.
Stay safe.
Stay safe.
Please, stay safe.
May 29 is National Paperclip Day. I just happen to have a paperclip right here. Before we proceed to our roundtable, allow us to share a few fascinating facts about this small but awesome piece of office supply. According to nationaldaycalendar.com, first on the list says in 1867, Samuel B. Fay received the first patent for bent wire paperclip in the US, to attach tickets to fabric. Number 2 on the list, 50 others received patents for similar designs before 1899. Number 3, in 1877, Earlman J. Wright received a patent for his paperclip design to clipping for use in fastening newspapers. And number 4, gem paperclip. It's the most common type of wire paperclip, and it's still used in present times. And did you know about the Paperclip Project? During World War II, paperclips were used as a visual method of protest when any outward signs of objection could be dangerous. So it's a subtle form of protest. And now we want to ask our Eagle News team, in just about a minute, aside from holding papers together, what other uses do you have for paperclips? You want to start off with Thomas. What do you have for us, Thomas?
Okay, this goes back to my broadcasting days. I was at a conference in the 80s where they have a multi-feed so that you can get a sound feed to your recording device without having to leave a microphone up on the stage. Unfortunately, they used a different than usual connection. None of us had a cable that would work. I'm trying to put this cable into this box and it's not going to work. So I borrowed a couple of, about 4 paper clips from the organizers of the conference, bent them, put them in the holes. I always carry alligator clips with me, and then just connected them to the cable. We got a sound feed, and then everybody daisy-chained off my recorder. But yeah, they're great. Paper clips to the rescue. Won't work with plastic paper clips, though.
Okay, so we got to use the metal paper clips. Thanks, Thomas. I learned something new. Let's ask Lori. Lori, you said it's something for adults, but we don't know if it's practical or not. What do you have for us?
Yeah, so my example story is about use of paper clips to express yourself. So not necessarily practical, but they come in different colors. You know, you can buy them in a variety of colors. So for work, when I had to submit something, I figured, why use just a regular, silver paper clip when I can put some kind of, personality into it? So of all the colors, I chose pink. So that's my impractical use of paper clips to make a statement. Alvin?
I think expressing oneself is practical and absolutely vital. I'll sign me up for the pink paper clips. All righty, let's move on. Let's move on to Arlene. Arlene's National Paperclip Day was on May 29. Talk to us. What uses do you have for this piece of wire?
Well, when I was in high school, I actually used it as an earring because I forgot to put my earrings on after I got into the shower. So I hooked one in my ears and then everyone started to follow after me. So that's why, I don't know, it's a little practical use, I guess.
Oh, cheap jewelry. And just to be clear, you use that as earrings, meaning it went into your piercing, right? You didn't just clip it onto your earlobe, or am I wrong?
That's right, Ellen. That's what I did. Yeah, I kind of pried it open a little bit and hooked it up to my ears.
Okay, that hurts just to think about it. But if you had actually clipped it onto your earlobe, maybe you would have started a new trend. But awesome, great. A piece of jewelry. How about you, Trish Nicole? National Paperclip Day. What do you have to share with us?
I was actually going to say the same thing as Arlene about using it as a piece of jewelry, as an earring. But I do have another anecdote about my friends' use of paper clips. One time they came over to my place, and we were in my room, and they saw my diary from like when I was very, very small, just on my desk. And it was one of those diaries where it has a lock on it, and you could probably guess, like I couldn't find the key, so they found one of my paper clips, and you can probably guess that they tried to unlock it. So that's another use to breach my privacy. They failed, but they tried.
Well, Trish Nicole, more shocking than your friends trying to break into your diary is that to this day I don't know what the definition of anecdote is. But hey, thanks for the story. We're going to move on to Kay. Kay, National Paperclip Day. What do you have to share with us?
It's really funny that Sister Nicole mentioned using a paperclip as a way to get into a lock, because the first thing that came to mind when I mentioned paperclips is like lock picking. You know, I remember like watching some of those movies as a kid, or just like those video games when like, you know, the morally gray hero decides to break into somewhere using just a paperclip to break a lock. And I'm not going to say that I've broken a lock using a paperclip before. I'm not that cool, but I don't know. It's just the first thing that came to mind. And I've thought about doing it before, but I've never really worked up the courage to do so.
Okay, so we have a few cat burglars on our broadcast tonight. Whether in person or in the virtual world, like in video games, like you mentioned, using paper clips for kind of nefarious reasons. But anyway, thanks for your contribution, National Paperclip Day. For myself, my use of it actually stems from what I read in the Fun Facts introducing National Paperclip Day, or paperclips in general. I found out that you can use a paperclip as a show of protest, right? Subtle protest. So I had to think for myself that at the end of our broadcast, I will not be able to converse or work with my wonderful correspondents. I won't be able to see them at least for another week. And for that, I protest. But I take some comfort in knowing that the broadcast moves on and we'll have... We certainly appreciate you for all that you do. And that is today's Eagle News America. Thank you for joining us. I'm Alan Basoyahe. We live in interesting times.